Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside sunny Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, the land of pleasant living, home of the Baltimore Orioles. My longtime friend, esteemed colleague, and all-around good egg, John Webster. John, how are you doing today?
Hey Gary, doing real good, man. Hope everybody else is as well. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Another exciting week in sports. We have some champions now. We're going to talk about the new champion in the men's tournament, the new champion in the women's tournament, and we're going to wrap it up and talk a little bit about my Orioles and why things are going the way they are right now. But before we get to that, Gary, let's talk about the new champions, the Michigan Wolverines. They brought a championship back to Ann Arbor. First basketball championship they've had there since 1989, man. It wasn't easy, but they got it done. So what do you think?
Well, hey, congratulations to them. That's hard for an Ohio State fan like me, but you got to recognize greatness when you see it. And yeah, congratulations to them. And for that matter, congratulations to the Big Ten because what they ran the table on the men's and women's side with UCLA, and remember, Indiana won the National Football Championship. So, you talk about bragging rights and I guess you look and you think of that they got bragging rights. I don't want to hear anything about who's, best football conference, best basketball conference, because the results speak for themselves. But, you know, with Michigan, I'm glad to see them really finish the deal with this one, especially with a team that we talk all the time about that window, how narrow that window is. And in an age with the transfer portal and NIL, that team's not going to look the same next year. They may not be as strong next year, no matter how good a coach Dusty May is. Same with UConn. So, you take the opportunity when you can get it. And yeah, I can get into the same thing about UCLA when we talk about the women's side, but Michigan, Michigan proved last night, well, two things. They proved that they can win a game where your opponent tries to slow it down and muck it up for you. Two, you could be out rebounded and still win the game and be out rebounded by a big margin and still win the game. And I was looking at this, it's like they were out rebounded 46-39 by UConn. At one time,
Mm-hmm.
it was a double digit deficit, but the most telling number, 31% shooting. That's what they held UConn to. Neither team they faced in the Final Four got over 30, let's see, got over 37%. That's great defense. And and they got stops when they needed last night down the stretch, and it turned those into really timely baskets. And I can remember a couple by and I'm looking at the sheet so I can make sure I pronounce his name correct. Yaxel Landeborg, had a basket and a couple of free throws down the stretch. Um, let's see who else stood up. Oh yeah, Trey McKinney, had a key shot. And of course, the MOP, Elliot Cadeau, did what he does, with 19 points and
Mm-hmm.
three rebounds. And oh yeah, the other telling stat, free throws. Michigan went to the line a lot and they made 25 or 28. That's going to win you some ball games.
Yeah, you're right. Excuse me, Gary. What a time not to have my voice. One other guy I mentioned for Michigan that stood out to me, kid plays down low, Johnson. He had 12 points and
Hey,
10 rebounds. Really tough down low. Big, strong kid. So I like what he did. The free throws, when I'm looking at these free throws, you say Michigan went to the line 25 times or 26 times. How many times UConn go to the line?
UConn, yeah, 12 of 16. So they made their free throws, but fouls really, really did. make a difference in you
Yeah.
know in a game like that. And what was the other oh, 3-point shooting. You know,
Mm.
neither team was lighting it up from deep. I think what Michigan missed all three chances in the first half, and then made 2 of 12 in the second half. But they got them when they needed down the stretch. And
Cadeau hit a key one that
yeah,
put him up by 11 because
yeah,
they were like 2 of 15 from 3-point land, and UConn went about 9 of 33. I
yeah,
think UConn, another thing that was a telling difference with them, Mullins didn't really have a great shooting game. He was
yeah.
playing hard, but he didn't have a great shooting
Not till
game.
late. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean he
yeah.
made his baskets late.
That kid, that the aircraft carrier that UConn has, man, I like that kid, man. Reed, he
Oh
had like
yeah, yeah. Terrence
14
Reed.
points, 13 points, 14 rebounds. You
Yeah,
know,
and
and he's the one carrying the middle. And Michigan's not a little team. They were a lot bigger than UConn.
yeah,
So it was what UConn did last night. They made the game a slower pace. Michigan had been averaging 90 points a game, scored 69, and shoot. UConn had been averaging 77, and they even slowed down from that and came up with 63. It was a slower pace they played. It was more of a, I just they mucked the game up. I'm
yeah.
saying Mucked to make sure everybody's clear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanted to use the same word, but it's too early in the morning. And I said I would probably muck it up saying that, you know.
Yeah, I give Hurley and UConn a lot of credit how they came out and played. I mean, it was, Grant Hill said it best last night. It was a Big East style game last night, and even to the end, even when Michigan got on a run, it was still, give and take, hitting both ways. It was rough. So it wasn't a game that was getting out there the whole time and running up and down, a thing of beauty, shooting threes and all that stuff. It was a game of strategic strategies where and a test of wills as well.
Yeah,
So I say hats off to Michigan because that's definitely not the style of play they have, but it says a lot about the team and says a lot about their coach Dusty May that they're able to get it done in that way because the whole tournament, Gary, they've been averaging 90 points a game. So
yeah, yeah. And
uh,
I think with their losses, I think it was like they scored 60 points or 70 points or less in something like two of their three losses, um,
mm,
which I guess in one way, UConn probably felt that would bode well for us if we could if we can hold them down. But when your shots aren't falling, there's nothing you can really do. UConn had good looks, but they also had a lot of contested looks, and that was, you credit to Michigan's defense for doing that. I'll say, defensively, both teams did what they wanted to do. But Michigan was able to take advantage, obviously, more often on the other end. And I think the term that I heard, I was listening to the early part of the second half on radio, and they were saying that, yeah, Michigan was in control, but they weren't dominant. And, the way I was thinking about it is like they've got space, but they don't have distance, like they've had in a lot of their games. And I felt like after the way they really, really handled Arizona, a game that I thought was going to be a track meet, and they win that one by 18. I thought, well, okay, you really beat the team that you had to beat to get to the final. What do you have left for Monday night? Um, in this case, I'm just going to say just enough because when you shoot 38% and win, that
mm-hmm.
says a lot about what your defense can do for you. And I don't recall too many fast breaks. In fact, I remember more times when guys were going strong to the hole, and UConn had a man there to either body him or block the shot or alter the shot. And at the other end, for UConn or Michigan defensively, it was kind of the same thing. Every time it looked like it was going to be an easy basket or something like that, next thing you know, it's like, it's over the basket and Michigan grabs a rebound and turns it into, like say, a momentum changing basket at the other end. Not too often, because I really was concerned for Michigan when they allowed them to get within four, in the final couple minutes, and I was like, this is UConn's kind of game. But again, Michigan came up with the stop they needed, and they are the champions as a result.
Hey, hats off to the Wolverine. Hats off to our conquering heroes. I won't sing the whole song, Gary. I won't sicken you by singing that whole song. But hail, hail, hail to
Okay.
Michigan. Hail to them all. And now let's.
You said you wouldn't do it.
I'm finished. I'm finished.
Okay,
Now
okay. Just don't
let's go
sing
on.
that Notre don't just don't sing the Notre Dame fight song.
No, uh, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. Maybe I'll sing the Orioles fight song. We'll see. Hey, but let's talk about the women. Hats off to UCLA. Won the championship. First time they won a women's championship in basketball since 1978, and it was not even called the NCAA Women's Championship. I think it was the AIAW.
AIAW, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it's hats off to them. They won a championship. You made a very good point, Gary. I had forgotten all about it. You had said the Big Ten. I forgot all about UCLA's in the Big Ten now. I totally forgot about that.
yeah.
You know,
I had to remind myself too. I
yeah.
had to
So
remind
I,
myself
I
too.
think I think that was great for UCLA to get there. They beat Texas, and that was an interesting game. And for South Carolina to get there, they beat UConn, which was another interesting game. I think I just think for this game, what we had, this is just me. First of all, I want to say I changed what I thought last week. You remember I said I thought UCLA was the weakest team in the Final Four. I was
Mhm.
absolutely wrong. Um, Turns out they're the best team in the Final Four. I should have stuck with what we said a couple weeks ago when we were looking at projections and saying they were the hardest team to play against. And they turned out to be. One of the things I think you got to give UCLA credit for, South Carolina is a team that likes to pressure you. South Carolina is a team that gets a lot of their successes off of turnovers and transition. And UCLA, to their credit, was not bothered by the press, was able to get into their offense, was able to get very good shots. Lauren Betts, I'm looking at her now, 14 points, 11 rebounds. We aren't even going to talk about the block shots and the other shots that she changed trajectory on. Had a
Yeah,
wonderful game. Kiki Rice, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Important. Another thing that was important in that game. UCLA was very strategic and very team oriented. When there was a double out of that South Carolina defense, they found the open person every time. And that open person was knocking down shots every time. Threes, twos, what have you. I mean, they played an absolutely wonderful game. Um, Hats off to South Carolina for getting there. But UCLA is a champion, man.
yeah.
They are very good. They're very tough. And like I said, I was absolutely positively wrong in my thoughts that they wouldn't be one of the stronger teams in the Final Four. Totally wrong. And hey, I have to say that the best team won the championship.
Yeah, John, don't it's nice that you admit that you were wrong, but don't beat yourself up because remember, I mean, that was you're talking about four number one seeds that were in the Final Four. Let's see, what one, two, two of them had won, had combined for what was it, three of the past, or four of the past five championships or something like that.
Mhm.
So, and again, when we were talking about number one seeds. Yeah. Um, I thought UCLA had made a strong case to be maybe the second number one seed as opposed to South Carolina, or was it Texas? I
Hmm.
was trying to remember which one, remember that order. But UCLA was number four, and I think the committee was just trying to see, I mean, yeah, obviously they earned the number one seed, but when you're talking about a defending champion, you're talking about a team that won one 2 years ago. And then you're talking about a team that that won its conference handily in the tournament that you UCLA, even though I think, but they boat raced. God, who was it? Was it Michigan or something by 50 points? They won. Yeah, they won their tournament by something like 50 points. That yeah, I mean, it was really you could have shuffled any one of them around behind UConn and you wouldn't have been wrong. The thing that was really telling to me, John, and it was South Carolina shooting and what UCLA didn't allow them to do. 29% shooting. Coming off a
Hmm.
game where I think Texas was something like maybe 31 or 32%. That's really strong defense, obviously. But the thing about that is, the Texas game was probably the biggest indicator of how well UCLA plays defense or played defense. That Madison Booker goes something like 3 for 23 from the field. An
Hmm.
All-American player, and I mean, it was just one of those things. Texas couldn't buy a basket with perfect credit. That's how that's how tough it
I got to
was.
use that one. I got
Yeah,
to use that one, man.
yeah. Um, I probably stole it from somebody, but I don't know. You hear that term, yeah, they couldn't buy a basket. And I was like, man, they couldn't buy a basket with perfect credit. I don't even know what perfect credit score is, but um, she had open looks. She had
Hmm.
contested looks. None of them, I mean, well, they rarely fell. The thing that they did to Texas, they made Texas think about every shot they took,
Hmm.
whether
Yes, they
somebody was
did.
going to come up and maybe deflect a pass or come out to contest a shot. And they forced them a little bit further out than they were comfortable with. I could say the same thing about South Carolina, but again, it's one of those things when the shots are falling, everything is rosy, but when they aren't, no matter what kind of looks you have, it's not going to be your day. And the way that UCLA just steadily built, they turned, I think it was like a 6 point lead into a 12-point lead. Then it became 18. And then when it became 20, you knew it was a wrap. And I think it was sometime early in the third quarter where I was like, UCLA was on a mission and there was nothing South Carolina could do about it. And that's no knock at them because what they did to beat UConn in a really a slobber knocker of a
Hmm.
game, so to speak, against a rival. I'm not going to get into the ending, with between the coaches because I want to keep it on the court. But South Carolina did what it did what it needed to do to get to the final, but they just ran up against a team that was ridiculously dominant in the postseason, in conference and in the tournament. And like you said, hats off to the Bruins. And there are a lot of people. Aren't you like a kind of like a tertiary UCLA fan? I know you got a jersey in there somewhere. They're not your secondary team, they're your tertiary team.
There is a jersey here in the house of one young man by the name of Lou Alcindor, who now goes by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There is a jersey here for the Bruins. Um, even as a kid, I mean, you know me well, Gary. Nothing replaces Notre Dame for me in any sport. You know that. But I enjoyed watching UCLA as a kid. playing basketball. I enjoyed John Wooden and what he brought to the game. UCLA as a whole, I've enjoyed, but it's nothing, absolutely positively nothing like the joy of a leprechaun in South Bend. Let's be clear.
Oh, I got nothing for that one, man. I mean, let the record show that John Webster loves Notre Dame. Then
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, when I was looking at the box score from the women's final, the fact that the players that showed, well, I shouldn't say showed up. Well, Tessa Johnson, who we thought had to be a key player, was the only double-digit score. Well, I take that back. I go McKeer, yeah. So she had 11
She had
points.
11 off the
Yeah,
bench. Yeah.
off the bench, yeah. But I mean, among the regulars, among the starters, she was the only double-digit score, and that was again another sign of just how strong UCLA's defense is because the player who I thought really needed to have a big game was Medina Oka. And um, yeah, because she was really, finding her place. You talk about the aircraft carrier in the middle. She was hard to stop and she was hard to get around on defense, especially when they played UConn. But they neutralized all of their potential threats off the bench, from the perimeter, and again, 2 for 15 from 3-point range, and Maddie McDaniel, who I love watching play with because of the energy she brings. It was like I think what she I don't even know if she had a basket. She did have one basket,
She had
rather.
2 points.
Yeah.
I think those were on free throws.
Yeah, that's right.
0
Yeah,
for,
they're on
0
free
for
throws.
6 from the field with two
Yeah,
assists.
yeah. But
And
yeah, they just took a lot of their key players out of that game. And um yeah, again, defense wins championships, John. We say that all the time. It sounds like a cliche, but yeah, we saw 2 games where it really, really mattered. A game where on the men's side, neither team, got to 40%, and the one that was closer to 40% won. This one, with UCLA, yeah, they shoot 44% and win by holding, really a strong offensive team to 29%. Yeah, 29%. So again, defense wins championships, but UCLA had plenty of offense, to beat a team by 28 points. And um, I guess for South Carolina to to lose the last 2 championship games by, what is it, 20 points or more, that was a stat that really blew my mind. But I don't think that's anything, I don't think that's a slight against the program. That tells you how strong UConn and UCLA were. But the fact that they were in their sixth straight Final Four, playing in their something like fourth straight or third straight championship game. Um, I mean, they're going to be back. It's just a matter of who's back, and I think that's a question. Well, we know UCLA is going to have to rebuild because they had all those seniors who
their starting
delivered.
five was seniors.
Yeah, and the main thing for UCLA is what I wanted for UCLA is like, okay, now that you're here, you got all those veterans, you've got a window, you have the best record of the remaining teams, just close the deal. And we always talk about, John, about about winning while you have that very, very narrow window, and UCLA really, really took advantage, and nobody should be surprised at that.
No, again, congratulations to them. Flat out the best team won. You mentioned about South Carolina. Let's Dawn Staley. She is a terrific coach. She's not a terrific women's coach. She's not a terrific men's coach. She is a terrific coach.
Mhm.
And for me, it's more than just the X's and O's. It's things that she brings to the table, things she brings to the game. There are a lot of coaches that bring a lot to the game. I'm not trying to say she's the only one, but I just like how she has built this program. I like the job that she has done, and I know she will continue to do it. Unfortunate that they came up short against UCLA. I think as I look at it, and I think just me personally, Gary, I think the UConn game took a lot out of them. That's not to say that they would have something would have been different with UCLA, but I think a lot went into the UConn game. And another thing that I believe with South Carolina, their teams are excellent, but their teams, the way they play, a lot of their points are based on transition and the defensive pressure, turnovers. And I believe that if they get behind by a large double digit, it is challenging for them to come back. I think, they can come back, but they're better suited to do it in a close game as opposed to looking at double digits and trying to figure out where we're going to get these points from. This team that they had this year, Tessa Johnson, Joyce Edwards, uh, what's the other one? Raven
Oh, Raven
Johnson is
Johnson.
with,
Yeah. Yeah.
Latson, all great players, but
Yeah.
they didn't have a lot of consistent 3-point shooters. And maybe that will change next year. They have not had, well, they had the one kid last year, 2 years ago, the kid that played at Oregon and transferred there. I forgot her name. She
Yeah.
played guard,
Yeah.
and then this year they had Latson. I give a lot of credit to. She was the leading scorer in the country at Florida State last year. She had to come and
Yeah.
change her game somewhat to fit in there at South Carolina. And she did, and she did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
So, you
She was
know,
an X factor for sure for them this season.
yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just so you know, and everybody else knows, South Carolina's going nowhere. Miss Staley will have them back again next year, and they will be firing on all cylinders again, and they will still be something that you have to contend with. So we'll see. We'll see them again next year. And matter of fact, I can't wait to see them. I love watching them play.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to give flowers to the winning coach, Corey Close, because,
Hmm.
again, she's another one who has been at it, for a while, what, 15 years at
15
UCLA,
years.
and has
Hmm.
has really built a great program, and has gotten close. And I'm glad to see, something for her because, we talk about coaches who are due, who have done everything. Like, I mean, Vic Schaefer, for one. Here in Louisville, Jeff Walls has been to 4 Final Fours, but still seeking a championship. Um, last year when we were talking about UCLA and USC, especially with Juju Watkins, that we talked about that intra-city rivalry, or
Hmm.
crosstown rivalry, maybe it's a better word. Uh, and Corey Close, I'm so glad she got her reward, got her flowers, with a team that she really built and, more importantly, kept together in this age
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
transfers and NIL.
I agree, Gary. Hats off to her. She did a wonderful job. Has a wonderful team. Going to have to rebuild next year because, if I'm not mistaken, losing all 5 starters. I think they all
Yeah,
were seniors. So
yeah.
we'll go from there and see. But man, I tell you what, our favorite time of the year has started. I'm a little bit down. I got my Oreo shirt on today, as you see.
Oh,
But
okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Be more. Yeah, I like that
yeah,
one.
yeah, I'm a little down. They started off 4-6. It's a long way to go, Gary. Long way to go. But they've won the pitchers. Zach Eflin suffered an arm injury last week. They lost him. Chris Bassett has had 2 games so far and has an ERA after 2 games, Gary, of 14. So
Oh, okay.
last night they brought the kid back up. Young was named Brandon Young. They brought him
Hmm.
back up. Pitched against the White Sox. They beat the White Sox 2-1. Um, Injuries are starting to seep in already with the Orioles. You were still waiting for Westburg to come back. You're still waiting for Jackson Holiday to come back. And now you have one pitcher who is down, and Eflin. You're getting ready to bring Dean Kramer back up this week as well to pitch. Cade Povich pitched Sunday against the Pirates. How about this, Gary? They had a 3-game series against the Pirates. Paul Skeens was not part of the equation. They're pitching in any of the games, and the
Hmm.
Orioles still managed to lose all 3 games to the Pirates.
Yeah, that was amazing to me.
I
All three.
I think
They were having
now.
a 1979 flashback, it seems.
I will say this: the Orioles have all. It's 2 teams in the National League. The Orioles have had difficulty with the Mets and the Pirates,
Mhm.
and we can go back to the reasons why of 69, 71, and 79. And it's just a rough time for them when they play them. But I think the worst game for me this weekend was a Saturday game. Um, they should have won that one. The guy hit a slow roller. The Orioles were up by 1. The guy hit a slow roller to third. It was going to be close, but the guy ran like an ice truck. They would have got him by a little bit. Um, but
Ice truck.
Court,
I love that one.
you
I
know,
might use that one, my friend.
Kobe Mayo couldn't get the ball from his glove to his throwing hand. The guy gets on. They put another runner on. He gets the second on the fielder's choice. And then they tied the game because what should have been the third out, the pitcher's on the mat. What was that, Nunez? And he's a former infielder who's been turned into a pitcher. Slow bounce to the pitcher. The ball goes above his glove. Run scores, game is tied. Then we
Hmm.
go to the ninth inning and they get a walk-off single. So rough, 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 rough. But
Yeah.
they play today. Daytime baseball, Gary. The game was supposed to be at 8 o'clock tonight. The weather's so cold in Chicago, they moved the game up to 3 o'clock. I love
Oh,
daytime baseball.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
They
That was
they
a wise
start off,
decision.
yeah, Chicago, yeah. Um, Rough start for them, but I still think they can turn around. So far, Alonso has not really hit yet. Gunnar Henderson is just starting to find his range. Adley Rushman looks like the Adley Rushman of 2 years ago. So we'll see. And I'm also very, very pleasantly happy with Kobe Mayo at third base. Even though he's only batting 174, his plate appearances look better. He looks more patient. He's getting better swings. I think it's going to happen for him this year. And he's doing a very good job. He's not Westberg at third base, but he is doing a very good job at third base. So we'll see, man. It's just one of those things. They're off to a 4-6 start. Let's see where they go from here.
Yeah. Well, John, I don't think I can say anything to add to that because you know your Orioles much better than I do. I'm still hoping that my Nationals can become respectable or close to respectable, even though they're looking up at the rest of the division again. That there's really not a lot of space. You're only talking about maybe 2 games from top to bottom. So I'm chalking this up to March, April, early April baseball and things will start to settle down. So, have hope, my friend, about the Orioles, just like I try to have hope about the guys down in DC. But
Hey,
John,
Gary, Gary, I watched the Dodgers game Sunday.
oh,
Hey,
oh,
man, I'm gonna tell you because the Nationals were up 6-1, then they were
mm,
up 6-3,
I
and
know.
the house came apart and they lost 8-6. But
Mm.
Gary, help me with this. Help me. I thought I was watching the game at Chavez Ravine. I mean, there was so many Dodgers fans at the stadium, man.
You know why that is, John? You can't get tickets in LA, so you just like with Yankee games. I don't know how many Yankee games at Camden Yards I went to, but I remember seeing a couple of fans that had signs that I just wanted to rip up, but I couldn't argue with them at the time. Is that they had signs that said, Camden Yards, home of the New York Yankees. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I was like, oh, I said, ooh, that hurts. But John, there are a lot of Dodger fans in the DC area. I worked with more than a few of them. John, I'm here in Kentucky, and I can run off about five guys that I work around that are Dodger fans.
Wow.
I don't know. There's well, and of course in Kentucky, because several ex-Wildcats play for the Dodgers. That I think that explains part of it. I think I mean Walker Bueller was on a couple of those World Series teams, so
Hmm.
there's a following there. So I guess again, um, and of course, in these parts too, there are a lot of Reds fans, but because of that rivalry they had in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and well, until they really went geographic with the decisions, where it was a battle between the Reds and the Dodgers every year, and some people became Dodger fans because of that. So I'm not really shocked, but yeah, it still hurts. And of course, if you're Washington, you got to start playing better, so you start seeing more red jerseys as opposed to blue and white jerseys and those blue caps. But John, we've come to the end of another fine weekend of sports, things to talk about. We have the Masters to look forward to this weekend. I don't have any kind of feel for the Masters this year because Rory McIlroy has been injured. But it's coming back from some back troubles. Scotty Scheffler is I'll just say he's probably still the threat as the world's best golfer, but yeah, I haven't really followed his progress in these early tournaments. So this is one I'm going to go into with an open mind and just see, who plays the best at the Cathedral of Golf. See what else we've got. Oh yeah, the more of the home stretch of the NBA season, home stretch of the NHL season. Let's see, we've got XFL, no UFL football. I don't know how the DC Defenders are doing. I'm going to try to go watch the Louisville expansion team here at some point soon. So, John, there's a whole lot to look forward to. In another week or so, I might be talking about the Kentucky Derby, favorites and stuff. So, again, a whole lot to look forward to. And just come back and see us. We're on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We will send you a link. So, John, take us home.
Hey, thanks everybody. Another great week in sports. As Gary says, watch some NBA basketball, watch some Major League Baseball, watch some college lacrosse, and also watch UFL football. Watch some soccer, watch some hockey, but above all else, just watch some sports and come back and see us. Take care.